Bitcoin's gains were the best in September in 11 years, going up over 7%. Also, the SP 500 is getting crazy. It's up 20%, which is the best first 9 months since Leonardo DiCaprio came out and J.K. Rowling published Harry Potter. Also, China's market keeps going through the roof. Inside of 16 years, yesterday was its best day ever. It's up over 21% in the last 5 days. There is already a great wall of liquidity here. If you're investing in Bitcoin for the long run, though, this doesn't mean anything. I'll tell you right away why. It's a question that should be asked. Are your thoughts even hopeful enough? Let's start. Hey everyone, this is Dante Cook with Bitcoin. Basically making it easy for you to understand economy and markets. If you haven't already, please subscribe. These episodes are quick, fun, useful, and full of great value. The show today is one you won't want to miss. To begin, I would like to wish you a happy October. You ask, what is October? That's how it got its name. Bitcoin's price has gone up 80% of the time in October since 2013. It's been up in October, November, and December every single election year. And it's always up when September is green. And as we said at the beginning, September was a historic month for Bitcoin, with prices going up over 7%. September was green this year because it's an election year. It's tough not to be optimistic. Right now, everyone is making their favorite charts and anything else that shows things are going right and up. It's hard not to talk about how crazy the markets are getting right now with all the extra money coming in. Rates are falling all over the world, which is making people optimistic about all investments and markets. These are the best first 9 months for the SP 500 since records began in 1997. It wasn't even the big guys who were making most of the money. The prices of assets went up for everyone in the third quarter of this year. 328 stocks did better than the SP 500. There were only 109 stocks that went down, and the average SP 500 stock returned 9.2%, while the market returned 5.4%. It was still a pretty good month. And in the last few days, the Chinese stock market has done the same thing that the SP 500 has done this year. In the last 5 days, it's gone up 21%. But I want to make a few points because I always want to keep people interested. M2 has been going down in the Chinese markets for decades, which is why the Chinese government is cutting rates so sharply and pumping money into the economy. Chinese real estate has been in terrible shape, the worst it has been since the beginning of the decade. Also, people have the least faith in the Chinese economy and stock market ever. They had no choice. We're also not out of the water here in the US. I think about 45,000 port workers have started to go on strike as of this morning. As a result of the changes to the GDP and GDI numbers over the last few days, the market has been moving in ways that people did not expect. Our economy saved an extra $500 billion when people changed how much they spent and how much they earned. It looks like the government, you can do what you want with that. At the end of the day, more people are getting into credit card debt and saved less than ever before. In the real world, things are getting tighter. But in the long run, these things don't really matter to me or Bitcoin. Take a step back and look at the big picture. Instead of trading, put your money in stocks. Take a look at the long-term trends of the world's global reserve currencies. The dollar is getting close to the end of its time as the world's global reserve currency, which lasts about 100 years. It doesn't really matter what Jerome Powell or Raphael Bostic said at the NAB yesterday about interest rates and Fed cuts being a given for the rest of the year. We're going from having a crazy monetary policy to a calm one. We're switching from a dollar system that changes everything for everyone every time it gets stronger or weaker to a calm system, where Bitcoin is used as a standard to measure how productive everyone is. When you work, you make more value. Let's look at how you should think about Bitcoin in your portfolio and why you're probably not bullish enough, even if you don't think blockchain will change the world in the long term. Bitwise CEO Matt Hogan recently wrote a letter called Bitcoin Gold or both. In it, he talks about how Bitcoin has done and what happens to your portfolio if you add a little bit of it. He says that adding a few percentage points of Bitcoin to your portfolio boosts the return by a huge amount without making your portfolio much more volatile. The backtesting shows that adding 2.5% to Bitcoin would have increased the profits on a 6040 stock to bond portfolio by 50%, from 98% to 148%. The standard deviation or amount of volatility would have only gone up by 33 basis points. These numbers are not real. Compare that to gold. Not much changes if you replace a small part of this portfolio or this balance with gold. Even if you add 2.5% of gold, it doesn't change the result much. When you look at it over 10 years, it only raised results by 1%. Okay, so maybe you don't believe that. Look at Bitcoin's 4-year compound annual growth rate returns. They have never been less than 20% CAGR during any 4-year time when we look back at how the price has changed. You might still think Bitcoin is a casino too. I'll show you some things. The numbers were really run by me. It's easy to get lost when looking at entry year returns instead of calendar year or multi-year returns. It's likely that what you see on short-term price charts is something that changes a lot. Like my 4 kids. One of them could blow up for no reason at any time or on any day. That means they change quickly, yes. But over time they're growing up and becoming adults. Also, I have a question for all the parents out there. Will your kids learn if they didn't get upset? Would they get bigger? Would they grow up to be adults with life lessons and other things like that? You need instability when you're trying to grow. It's the same inside an asset class. You can see some crazy drops in Bitcoin's value, but what we're really looking for is the rise in value or the maturity. The following is a list of the results for Bitcoin over 5-day periods from October 1st, 2014 to the present day, October 1st, 2024. In the 5 days before that, the biggest drop Bitcoin ever had was 44%. But in the same time frame, it went up the most in any 5-day period by 61%. And Bitcoin usually has more good days than bad days. Bitcoin goes through these cycles every 4 years. It's not really that hard. This fits together well. On average, prices go up once every 3 years, and then down once every year after that. That being said, those who say Bitcoin is just like gaming and a speculative asset are telling a very different story. I did some math to figure out how likely it is that you will win at each of these casino games. There is a 40% chance that you will win at the slot machine. The number is 48.8% at Baccarat. It's 46.5%, so let it ride. It's 46.6% for poker. It's 48.6% in craps. Roulette has a 44.7% house edge and blackjack has a 48% house edge. What's that over there on the right? That is Bitcoin. Yes, this is the number I have, 96.06%. I did the maths myself. I got Bitcoin price info every day from 2013 to the present. You find that if you hold on to Bitcoin for any 4-year period during that time, you have a 96.06% chance of making money. It doesn't sound like the casino has a good chance of winning. The chances of getting a return are 70.3% for any 1-year holding time, and the average return is over 89%. There is a 79.5% chance of a positive return over any 2-year time, and the average return is 233.7%. There is a greater than 90% chance of a positive return during any 3-year holding time, with a 565% average return. Over 4 years, there is a 96.06% chance of a positive return and a 3.94% chance of a negative return. On average, the return is up